You know, the global beauty market, it's got to be one of the toughest industries to crack, right? But here's the thing. There's a new wave of K-beauty brands that aren't just getting by. They're absolutely thriving. So what's their secret? Well, it looks like they've basically torn up the old rulebook. In this explainer, we're going to dive into the new playbook for beauty success, pulling insights straight from the experts who are watching it all unfold.
So how exactly are they pulling this off? We're going to walk through their blueprint. We'll start with how they managed to carve out a totally unique identity in such a crowded space. Then we'll look at how their products are more like statements, how they've mastered communication, and finally, we'll uncover the secret to their long-term strategy. All right, let's get into it.
Okay, first things first, let's set the scene. The K-beauty market isn't just competitive, it's a tidal wave of new stuff hitting the shelves constantly. So if you're a new brand, just getting someone to notice you, that's a massive challenge. I mean, how do you stand out when you're just a tiny fish in this gigantic ocean?
And that really gets to the heart of it, right? In a sea of amazing products, how do you build a brand that people actually truly connect with? Well, the answer, according to the experts, isn't about outspending or outshouting everyone else. It's about being fundamentally different.
And that difference? Well, it all starts with identity. The old way of thinking was, let's make a product for everybody. The new strategy is the complete opposite. It's about finding your specific niche and becoming the only real choice for that very specific person.
I mean, this quote from an industry expert just says it all. Amore Pacific is a giant in K-beauty. They're the safe, mainstream go-to choice. The new strategy isn't to be a smaller, weaker version of them. It's to be their polar opposite, to be so different that you become this compelling alternative, the devil to their angel, so to speak.
So what we're seeing is this huge shift away from just chasing mass market appeal and instead cultivating a very specific gongsim. It's this Korean word that's a little hard to translate, but just think of it as a brand's unique vibe, its aesthetic, its whole sensibility all rolled into one. It's about creating a whole world that a small, dedicated community just has to be a part of.
But look, a great vibe on its own isn't going to cut it. That unique identity has to be something you can actually feel, something you can touch. And for these brands, the product itself becomes the statement. It's not just a lipstick, it's a physical piece of that brand's world.
So what does a well-made product actually feel like? According to the experts, it's a total sensory experience. It's not just about how good the formula is, it's the beautiful packaging, a scent that's sophisticated, the curated color story, and there's one more secret ingredient, an element of delightful surprise.
And this piece of user feedback, wow, it just captures that magic moment perfectly. The product didn't just meet expectations, it defied them, in a really good way. That tiny, surprising detail creates such a powerful memory, and it makes a product totally unforgettable.
So the experts actually have a name for this. They call it the charming twist. It's that signature little something that cleverly subverts what you expect. You know, think of a lip balm that melts into a beautiful oil, or a perfume that smells totally different on your skin than it does in the bottle. This twist is the detail that takes a product from being just good to being truly special.
Okay, so you've got this killer identity and a product with that charming twist, but how do you get it into the hands of the right people? Well, it all comes down to mastering the art of communication.
For these new brands, this is non-negotiable. Communication isn't just a marketing tactic they use later on. It's the entire foundation of the business. From the absolute get-go, their number one priority is building a direct, honest relationship with their community.
And their process? It's actually pretty simple, but it's incredibly powerful. First, they listen, like really listen to their niche audience. Then, they talk about their products with complete honesty and objectivity. And finally, they build their campaigns from that real feedback. So what you get is marketing that feels less like an ad and more like a real conversation.
All right, let's talk about the final piece of this puzzle, the business strategy that ties this all together. Because this isn't about a quick win or a viral moment. This is about playing the long game to build something that's really built to last.
One expert put it perfectly when they described one of these breakout brands. They said it was in an incubating process. And that's exactly what it is. Think of it like a tech startup incubator, but for a beauty brand. The initial goal isn't crazy explosive growth. It's to nurture the brand, protect it, and give it the time it needs to really develop that strong, unique identity.
And this really shows you what that incubation strategy looks like in practice. For many of these new brands, what's the expected profit in year one? You ready for this? 0. A big fat 0. The focus is 100% on building the brand and the community, and they often have parent companies that can cover the costs. The profit? Well, that comes way later.
And you can see the difference laid out so clearly here. The old model is all about short-term goals, immediate sales, wide distribution, quick revenue. But this new, long-term approach, it's completely different. The goal is building brand equity and loyalty. The strategy is patient incubation. And the outcome they're aiming for is real, sustainable growth down the line.
So what does this all mean for the future of beauty? Maybe, just maybe, the frantic race to create the next viral hit is kinda over. Perhaps the real blueprint for success is something slower, more authentic, carefully building a brand that has a true soul, one charming twist at a time.